Secret Nazi Technology and the Aryan Race Conocimiento Pleiadiano Sept 18, 2020. Hi all. In this video we talk about the secret technological projects that the Nazis developed during the Second World War. Was the Nazi bell or Die Glocke real? Did you know about anti-gravity? Does red mercury exist? Why did the Nazis want to preserve the genetics of the Aryan race? What was the entire Nazi movement hiding? This and much more. Estelmittel.l.a presentation. Hello everyone and welcome to Pleiadian Knowledge. I'm Estelmittel.la and today we bring you a short video about the Nazis. We are going to talk a little bit about the technology they were working on, and a little bit about what could be the true reasons for everything they did. As we have been commenting in the videos about the satanic elite, the Nazis were working a lot on the mind control of people in order to dissect their minds and create soldiers. But they were also very involved in developing secret technology projects. Many experiments or technological advances, which we could say were quite ahead of the time. Many of them, or a large part of which we have been able to speak about and have been allowed to know about, would be weapons. We could see how the Fritz X, which was one of Hitler's most secret bombs, is widely considered the grandfather of the current smart bomb. Then flown for the first time in 1944, the Hertenho 229, which was the world's first stealth aircraft equipped with two turbojet engines, miniature tanks that could carry between 133 and 220 pounds of high explosives, and were used to navigate minefields and attack heavy vehicles and fortifications. This Nazi innovation paved the way for today's radio-controlled weapons, or the Messerschmitt Me 163 Comet, which was a rocket powered, with speeds of up to 700 miles per hour, which was the fastest jet in the war by a difference of more than 250 miles per hour. In addition, they built the world's first practical helicopter and the first helicopter production line. They made weapons like sonic cannons, X-ray guns, and land cruisers. But among all this there is an object that stands out and that has been meant to keep secret, and this was the Die Glocke, or the Nazi bell. With this they were investigating anti-gravity and free energy. It was described as a device made of a hard and heavy metal, with an approximate diameter of 2.7 meters and a height between 3.7 and 4.6 meters, having a shape similar to that of a large bell. This apparatus contained two counter-rotating cylinders that would be filled with a mercury-like substance of a velvet cherry red or garnet color, with a dense and sticky viscous texture. This metallic liquid was codenamed Serum 525 and was stored in a tall, thin thermos 1 meter high and encapsulated in lead. The fast spin, combined with a highly charged electrostatic tube, would create anti-gravity propulsion that would propel the special craft to considerable heights and travel speeds. Additional substances are said to have been used in the experiments, referred to as light metal or light metal in German. Also thorium and beryllium peroxides. It was recorded that when the bell was activated it had a range of 150 to 200 meters, and within its range crystals formed on animal cell tissues. Blood gelled and separated, while plants broke down into a fat-like substance. These tests are said to have been carried out near the Wenceslaus mine and close to the Czech border. The bell was developed by a team of senior scientists and engineers headed by SS General Hans Kammler, who also ran the Nazis' secret V-2 rocket program. The world's first long-range ballistic missile in operation. And how did this information come to be known? It was written by the Polish journalist and writer Igor Witkowski in Prawda or Wunderwaffe. The truth about the Wunderwaffe. Witkowski wrote that he had discovered the existence of the bell by reading transcripts of the interrogation of Waffen-SS officer Jacob Sparrenberg, who after World War II was tried in courts for war crimes and human rights violations, in his case for the murder of 60 German engineers, scientists, and technicians. In his affidavit before the court, Sparrenberg gave details of the Nazi bell project, admitting that the scientists and engineers were assassinated to prevent them from revealing any details of the technology to the outside world. According to Witkowski, in August 1997, an anonymous Polish Secret Service contact who claimed to have access to government documents on Nazi secret weapons showed him the supposedly classified transcripts. Witkowski claims that he was only allowed to transcribe the documents and was not allowed to make any copies. This data was later recounted by the British writer Nick Cook, who also added his views in the book The Hunt for Zero Point. Furthermore, also in the book Hitler Suppressed and Still Secret Weapons, Science and Technology, Henry Stevens concludes that the violet-colored mercury-like substance described by Witkowski could only be red mercury because normal mercury does not have fluid compounds according to conventional wisdom. And where are they now? There are many theories saying that the Nazis took it to the Arctic Circle. Witkowski in his case speculated that the bell arrived in a pro-Nazi South American country, and then the writer Cook speculates that it was taken to the United States as part of Project Paperclip, which, for those of you who do not know what that is, refers to the code name of the secret operation carried out by the intelligence service and military of the United States to bring over the great Nazi scientists from Germany. Now, do you remember that we have said that the bell was described with two counter-rotating cylinders that were filled with a substance similar to mercury? And a note that I want to make here is about information that was shared by contactees Robert and Gosia through the information of the Taigetians, where they reported on the United States spacecraft. That in their case they were hiding them in the form of a submarine, since it is the perfect disguise. It is hermetically sealed with ultra-secret systems that have gravitational nuclear motors, a toroidal magnetic propulsion motor, which is the turbine that counter-rotates, and that is a pure secret space program, and its base is in Area 51, belonging to the US Navy. And the Cabal uses them to move through portals. We see that it is very similar. In addition to all these secret projects to recover certain technology, the Nazis, as you know, were obsessed with keeping their race pure, the Aryan race. Keeping the genetics and using this as an excuse for the massacre they made of millions of Jews. Let's talk a little bit about this. Key concepts include knowledge about the origins of the Aryan race and its purity tied to the Germanic tribes and the superiority of the Aryans over all other races. In Nazi mysticism, several places are important, such as Atlantis, Thule, and Hyperborea. In Greek mythology, Hyperborea was a region located in the still unknown lands north of Thrace and considered by the Nazis a possible origin of the Aryan race. Also Shambhala, Agartha, and the Star of Aldebaran, which are considered as the original homes of the Aryan race and the Superman, Ubermensch. And what was the Thule Society? The Thule Society was an occult and racist group from Munich, created by Rudolf von Sabotendorf and later transformed by Adolf Hitler into the German Nationalist Workers' Party. Society required all prospective members to swear that neither Jewish nor black blood flowed through their veins or those of their wives. The main interest of the Thule Society was a claim to the origins of the Aryan race. That Thule was a country located by Greco-Roman geographers in the farthest north, that the society was named after Ultima Thule, in Latin the most distant north. The Thulists believed in the intraterrestrial theory. Among its goals, the Thule Society included the desire to demonstrate that the Aryan race came from a lost continent, referring to Atlantis. Although today we already know, as we are sharing in the videos about the Orion Wars, that Atlantis was not a continent or a city, but was a whole civilization. Besides this, they were also very involved in rituals. Heinrich Himmler, who was a high-ranking Nazi officer and one of the main leaders of the Nazi Party, granted certain elected officials a ring that, according to some authors, indicated a rank of initiation in the esoteric beliefs that characterized the high leadership of the SS. Beliefs that were translated into magical pagan rituals that were practiced during the solstices and equinoxes and advocated the exaltation of the Aryan race. This information is provided by extraterrestrial persons, women and men from the Taigeta star in the Pleiades cluster, through a written contact with us. Conversation with Yajaswaru Tasheret. To maintain the purity of the Aryan race is to keep the genes of Orion equals Ireland pure. Which is the starting point of today's civilization on Earth, as Ireland was where the survivors of Atlantis arrived. They genetically maintain etheric compatibility with the organic portals of reptilian souls. You can see how Scotland and part of Iceland were left above the water level where the survivors of the populations of Atlantis arrived, as is written in the historical works of Michael Tessarian, which supports what I say today. Estel Middle.L.A. Here Yaja is referring to what is known here as the flood that came after the explosion of the planet Tiamat, which was composed of 90% water. All this water reached Earth and much of it was flooded, but part of what had that not flooded was Scotland and Ireland. And the civilization of Atlantis took refuge here. So it may be that what the Nazis were desperately looking for was to maintain the origin of the races that existed during Atlantis in order to continue being organic portals of other consciousnesses, in this case, for example, reptiles. And that is why genetic compatibility is so important. Because, as you know, everything is based on frequency compatibility. And referring to the Nazi bell or Die Glocke, she told us, Yajaswaru Tasheret, there are earthly references to red mercury and Die Glocke tests in Nazi Germany. As it is a heavy metal, it can be enriched as uranium is enriched and then used in a nuclear plant. The mercury enriched in the earth is called red mercury. If you spin that mercury at high speed like a turbine and pass a lot of electrical energy through it, it causes a toroidal electromagnetic vortex with gravity-canceling properties. Of course, specific gravitational frequency control is needed to effectively control these anti-gravitational properties of red mercury. Without frequency control, only part of the energy passing through the apparatus containing red mercury will be applied to cancel out gravity. The rest is excess and dangerous energy, since it is a lot. This is because in disorder all the anti-gravitational apparatus containing the mercury will emit a whole range of frequencies randomly, and the result of gravity cancellation will only be noticed when by chance some frequencies transmitted by the apparatus coincide with the frequency of gravity in said device. According to Wikipedia, red mercury does not exist, but to look at the logic there, it says that it is not in the periodic table, therefore, it does not exist. As if what the periodic table of elements contains were all that exists. It's like UFOs that'll never tell people that red mercury is enriched mercury and is material from spacecraft engine turbines. Estel this is all we had for today. I hope you liked it, that it clarified some issues for you. And thank you always for being here, and see you in another video. Estela Yahi Swaru Utasher, transcribed by Andrea Mdos, edited in this format by Tony Ruiz of Sociedad Taigeta. Voiceover work by Robert Merland.